The City of Angels would never again sleep with the windows open. It began not with a single scream, but with a low, collective dread that seeped into the sun-baked stucco of suburban homes, a primal fear that the locks on their doors were merely a suggestion. In the suffocating summer of 1984, a phantom was hunting in the dark, a man who would become the living embodiment of every childhood nightmare, a fiend the press would christen the Night Stalker. His name was Richard Ramirez, but to the world he was a specter, a rumor whispered in the late-night news broadcasts. He was born in El Paso, Texas in 1960, a childhood shadowed by the toxic influence of a cousin who regaled him with graphic tales of violence in Vietnam and showed him photographs of the women he had raped and murdered. The seeds of a monster were planted early, watered by a diet of drugs, alcohol, and a burgeoning obsession with Satanism. The pentagram, a symbol he would later scrawl with arrogant defiance on the walls of his victims' homes, became his twisted creed. He drifted west to Los Angeles, a gaunt, hollow-cheeked figure with rotten teeth and eyes so dark and intense they seemed to absorb the light around him. He was a ghost in a decaying leather jacket, haunting the bus stations and flophouses of a city about to become his hunting ground. His reign of terror was not a spree, it was a slow, methodical plague. He didn't have a type. The elderly, the young, couples, women alone, all were vulnerable. His signature was his utter lack of one. He entered through unlocked windows and screen doors, a chilling reminder of a simpler time Los Angeles had just lost forever. He wielded a variety of weapons, a pistol, a knife, a tire iron, whatever was at hand. He was a predator of opportunity, fueled by a cocktail of cocaine, methamphetamine, and a profound, soul-deep hatred. The attacks were a crescendo of brutality. On March 17, 1985, he attacked 34-year-old Maria Hernandez in her Rosemead townhouse. As she walked through her door, he raised his Icati .22 caliber pistol and fired. Miraculously, the bullet ricocheted off her keys, and she survived. But her roommate, Dale Okazaki, was not so lucky. Ramirez shot her point-blank in the face as she sat in her car. The city was on edge, but the worst was yet to come. The terror reached its fever pitch on August 8, 1985. In the quiet, affluent suburb of Sierra Madre, he bound and stabbed 66-year-old chain smoker Joyce Nelson, leaving her for dead. She would survive, but barely. Later, that same night, in the nearby town of Monrovia, the scene was one of unimaginable horror. He entered the home of 64-year-old William Doy, beating the elderly man senseless before turning his attention to Doy's wife, Lillian. After a prolonged and savage assault, he leaned in close and whispered the words that would become his chilling, demonic calling card: "Swear to Satan." It was no longer just about robbery or violence. It was a ritual. The city was paralyzed. Police knew they were dealing with a singularly depraved individual, but they had no name, no face, only a monster conjured from the darkest corners of the human psyche. The break in the case came from a single, almost mundane piece of evidence: a fingerprint. After the murder of 60-year-old Peter Pan in his Burbank home, a print was lifted from his car, which Ramirez had stolen. It was run through the system, but there was no match. The investigation was a sprawling, chaotic mess, with hundreds of detectives working countless leads that went nowhere. The pressure was immense, the fear palpable. Then, on August 24th, Ramirez struck again in the San Gabriel Valley, attacking 29-year-old Bill Carnes and his fiancée, Inez Erickson. He shot Carnes in the head, leaving him permanently disabled, and assaulted Erickson. But as he fled, he made a critical error. He left behind a witness who could identify him, and, more importantly, he left behind the stolen orange Toyota that belonged to Peter Pan. The car was a gold mine. Inside, detectives found a single, crucial clue: a worn-down Avia sneaker print. The investigation was now a race against time. The fingerprint from Peter Pan's car was finally matched to a Richard Munoz Ramirez, a small-time criminal from El Paso. For the first time, they had a name. His mugshot was splashed across every television screen and front page. The face of the Night Stalker was now public, and the city collectively recoiled. The manhunt became a media circus. Meanwhile, Ramirez had fled to Los Angeles, unaware that his face was now the most recognizable in California. He tried to carjack a woman, but she screamed, attracting attention. He then attempted to steal another car, but the driver fought back. The Phantom was suddenly, violently, human. He was on the run, a desperate man in a neighborhood that now knew exactly who he was. The end came in a chaotic scene in East Los Angeles. Residents recognized his gaunt, snarling face from the news and descended upon him, a furious mob beating him until the police arrived to save him from the very justice they craved. As he was dragged away, he raised a fist and shouted, "Hail Satan!" It was a final, defiant performance for the cameras. The courtroom became his final stage. Representing himself at times, Ramirez was a spectacle of contempt. He smirked at victims' families, drew pentagrams on his hands, and shouted obscenities at the judge. The evidence against him was overwhelming: fingerprints, ballistics, shoe prints, and eyewitness identifications. The trial was a long, painful reliving of his atrocities for the survivors and the families of the dead. The climax of the legal drama came not with a bang, but with the slow, methodical reading of the verdicts. Count after count, the foreman uttered the same word: guilty. 13 counts of murder, 5 of attempted murder, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 burglaries. When the judge asked if he had anything to say before sentencing, Ramirez launched into a rambling tirade. "You don't understand me. You are not expected to. You are not capable of it. I am beyond your experience. I am beyond good and evil." His performance failed to move the court. He was sentenced to death, a sentence he would never fulfill, dying of complications from lymphoma on death row in 2013. The legacy of the Night Stalker is not just the tally of his crimes, but the permanent scar he left on the American consciousness. He shattered the illusion of suburban safety, proving that true evil doesn't lurk in shadowy alleys, but sometimes slips silently through an open window on a warm summer night, leaving behind only a drawn pentagram and a whisper on the air. If stories like this keep you hooked, hit subscribe for more.